I traded the hustle from the Western world for a simpler life and discovered a new life in the south of Brazil. Before coming to Brazil, family and friends were concerned that I might get robbed on the street. But is Brazil really that dangerous? And what other cultural difference did I find here? Is it worth coming here? The first thing that shocked me was just a couple minutes after arriving in Brazil. After a long 10-hour flight, I went to the bathroom, and there it is. You don't throw a toilet paper in the toilet because it gets clogged. They have bins everywhere next to the toilet for the paper, and this can be, let's say, very surprising. The next day we went to the grocery store. Nothing unusual at first. Same as all the other countries I've been to. Food shelves looked the same, and the organization of the grocery store, fruits, sweets, meat, everything there, until I checked the price of Nutella. Nutella here is 3 times more expensive than in Germany, and this goes for all the imported goods such as electronics, for example. When we were at the checkout, it was very slow. First of all, they do not have self-checkouts in most places, but the reason why it was so slow was because of the family didn't have enough money for what they put in the cart. They had to decide what they leave at the grocery store and what not. Honestly, I wouldn't like to swap with these locals here because the minimum wage is around $300 and 50% of the people here are not making more than $1,500 per month. So yes, poverty is real in this country. You can see this everywhere, unfortunately. Abandoned dogs on the road looking for food. People ringing your bell asking for some money. The streets not as smooth as in other countries, especially in this city because it has many hills. My first day here I saw the first favela. This is something I only knew from TV, but they just showed the craziest one in Sao Paulo or Rio de Janeiro. Contrary to the extreme examples on TV, it's just a place where people from the bottom of the income level build their own houses so they don't need to pay any rent. And yes, these houses are far from the norm, but the people here are just happy to have a roof on top of their heads. Coming from a super organized country like Germany, another difference is that the poor and the rich all live here next to each other. While in Germany, you have it usually more separated by suburbs. You can see this contrast in the street of my wife's family. A family is doing very well next to a middle-class house, and right next to them a shared house by people on a very low income. And if you just go down the road, there's the favela I just showed you. And this is in most places in Brazil. We were next to the city center at a gated community, and just down the road was probably the most dangerous favela in this town, right next to each other. This is something that shocked me, how close these inequalities are next to each other. My wife advises me to be always careful where I am, always check your surroundings. Because of the high poverty and inequality, the crime rate is pretty high compared to other countries. But as this is just a statistic, it says the worries of getting housebroken are much higher in Brazil, and we got robbed in Germany before coming here. I also try to avoid taking my phone to places when not needed, just to feel safer. But in the 22 years my wife lived in Brazil, nothing ever happened to her. It's just better to be careful. As you saw, Brazil also has gates around the houses. Something my parents think is negative, but it does have some positives. Yes, you feel safer obviously, but on warm days you can leave the windows and doors wide open without being afraid to have an unwelcome visitor. I couldn't do this in Germany because the houses were directly at the road. Although the people here have way less than all in the other countries I have been to. Brazilians are way happier than Germans, for example. And I can tell you, Germans are in general very negative people in my opinion. Very cold, always complaining, and never happy. Also, the general attitude. Brazilians are more relaxed than German. It's also rare that a Brazilian is on time. Tell that a German and he starts fuming already. And this goes towards their work ethic too. While I feel like most Germans live for their 9 to 5, Brazilians are aware that there is life outside of work and are more relaxed. Brazil is also super green. I could never imagine how green this country could be, and I'm the furthest away from the Amazonas. It just feels relaxing and refreshing going into that pure green nature. Besides that, it also has tons of waterfalls, besides the super famous one, the Iguazu Falls. Even around my current city, there are a bunch of waterfalls. Additionally, Brazil has lots of long beaches. What else could you wish for? And although Brazil is a third world country, Brazil has free healthcare for everyone, even for tourists. Something the US still hasn't accomplished. When I explain to my friends the south of Brazil, I tell them the shocking amount of Italian and German descendants. It's pretty much Little Europe. I can't even describe to you what a typical Brazilian looks like because they are so diverse. And they have a beer called Eisenbahn, which comes from Blumenau, Brazil. Did you know that the second biggest Oktoberfest is in Blumenau, Brazil? Yeah, me neither. Overall, I love the relaxed vibes, the good weather, and the laid-back atmosphere. I'm very excited about the adventures and surprises I will encounter here in the next years. Watch this next video where I share my story about how I quit the 9 to 5 to come to Brazil. See you there, my friend.